Okay, this is the Harley Davidson 2017 Harley Davidson V-Rod. This is the super awesome bike getting built by Ford. Let's take it out for a spin, man. Looks amazing, doesn't it? Start it up. The V-Rod.
This is the Harley Davidson V-Rod Muscle. I rode this bike last year, but I wanted to ride it again due to one key reason, because this bike is an absolute stunner. When you look at this live, see the real bike in real life, it's just an amazing looking bike. So I wanted to ride it again, and honestly, when I can, this is going to be a more aggressive ride than last year. I'm going to go a lot faster. I'm going to rip the engine with more than last year. And the other one thing I want to point out about this bike is that this is the last year this bike is going to be made. Harley Davidson has stopped production of this, and I'll come back to that in a sec. But I just want to come back to this bike. So this bike is awesome. It's a totally different from the old school traditional Harleys. It's a liquid cool engine, about 1300 cc's, and it's co-built with Porsche and Harley Davidson together. So that's the background. So this bike, so I know now that when I rode this bike last year, I honestly underestimated the quality and the overall bike. I did underestimate it. Now I enjoyed it. I appreciated it more this year when I rode it this time. Primarily because I realized that this has got a very good, smooth engine. It's very powerful. It rides extremely well on these bumpy roads. It just rides really, really good, and it gives you a feeling, kind of a feeling of that muscle man feeling, that whole kind of American muscle feeling. When I rode the Terminator bike, the Fat Boy, I felt like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Out of the other bikes, I mean, this is the only other bike that felt, that made me feel like, the Terminator. If Arnold Schwarzenegger was to do a kind of a modern movie, the Terminator, a remake of the Terminator, I think it'd probably ride this bike. And the other thing about this bike is, I've ridden a lot of the Harley bikes. This is the only bike where someone, a driver, stopped and commented on how good looking this bike is. And that's due to the fact that the styling on this bike is just really amazing. It's just spectacular. So it's got amazing styling, and it's the only one out of all the Harley motorcycles that someone stopped and looked, and noticed and appreciated the good looks of this bike. So here I am. I've got my typical raw denim jeans on. I'm a denim head. I like wearing my 16 ounces jeans. And so now let's get back to the original point that I made. This is the last year Harley Davidson is going to be running, producing this model. So if you want to get a V-Rod, now is the time to get a V-Rod, because they will no longer manufacture this motorcycle. And I think the key reason why they're not going to do it is that this is getting away from Harley's traditional roots. It's a liquid cool engine. And maybe it didn't sell that well. Maybe it's the sales numbers weren't that high. I'm not sure what the exact reason is. But when you think about Harley Davidson, right? The old school engines are spectacular. The air-cooled engines are spectacular. When you ride this, it really rides a lot smoother, and the sound at high speed is not there like a typical Harley. The exhaust note, it doesn't give you that exhaust note when it's riding. But at slow speeds, they try to kind of get you that shaking feeling to an extent, but it will never replicate the old school Harley, sound and exhaust note. So Harley has, a big kind of a dilemma on its hands. What do they do kind of going forward? I think they're going to probably stick to the old school, air-cooled engines, with the, that Harley growl. I think they're going to stick to it. Anyway, that's Harley's decision. I enjoyed this bike. I really enjoyed it. So I'm just taking it back to the dealership, and I realized that I did underestimate this bike when I rode it last year. This is a fantastic bike. I enjoyed it. I think it's really badass. This is a badass bike. It's kind of an all-American muscle bike, and second only to the Harley Davidson Terminator bike, the Fat Boy. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next Harley ride.
Another look at it. Look at that. Super wide seat. It's awesome. Excellent job. And between the engine is amazing.